Hello, everybody, and welcome to Rockstars Stop Wars. And this is about the Beatles, and this particular Beatle, the brilliant, irreplaceable George Harrison. Now, can you imagine how difficult it would have been for George Harrison to try and get any songs with the greatest songwriters of all time, Lennon and McCartney, to get any songs in? And imagine if he had his own band, how successful they would have been on their own. And he did later on, which I'll tell you about in this episode. But some of his classic songs, of course, The Taxman. In the 60s, the rock stars were paying, I think it was 98 pence to the English taxman, and 2 pence is all they were earning. Then he had Blue Jay Ray, of course, classic While My Guitar Gently Weeps, Within You or Without You. Now, does that not remind you of With or Without You by U2, of course? But he'd a huge contribution to the Beatles, of course, and the classic Something in the Way She Moves. Now, Frank Sinatra recorded Something in the Way She Moves, and he said it was the greatest song the greatest love song ever written. Now, it was written by this beautiful lady here. Her name, she was a London model called Patty Boyd. And when the Beatles were filming a movie called A Hard Day's Night in 1963 on the platform in Victoria Station, she sat beside George Harrison to be in a shot of the movie. And George Harrison said to her, would she go out on a date? And she said, no, I'm already in a relationship. She came home that day, told her flatmate, who was also a model, what did you do today? Oh, I was filming A Hard Day's Night with the Beatles, who were probably the most famous people at the time in the world. And I met George Harrison, he asked me on a date. Her friend said, are you completely off your mind? Go back tomorrow and tell him you'll have a date. And that's exactly what happened. George Harrison fell in love with her, and in the song he wrote about her, Something in the Way She Moves. Now, what gets interesting, Patty Boyd said in her autobiography, the two greatest love songs was written about her. George Harrison's great friend at the time, Eric Clapton, that brilliant guitarist. Now, Eric Clapton he was a very bad alcoholic, but he eventually married Patty Boyd. And one night she was getting dressed and she came down the stairs and he looked up at her and he said, oh, wow, you look wonderful tonight. So the song Wonderful Tonight was also written about Patty Boyd by two of the most famous, or one of the most famous, certainly iconic rock stars. So that's George Harrison and, of course, Eric Clapton, his friend. Now, it's very important. We want to hear your comments. What's your favourite, maybe your favourite Beatle love song? So we'd love your comments. It's important to subscribe. So please feel free to subscribe and spread the message. Now, remember, Concert for Bangladesh, the first charity concert was by George Harrison. So please subscribe, as it is for free. Next, we're going to talk in the next episode about the greatest drummer of all time, Ringo Starr. So subscribe, everybody. Thanks. Peace.